It's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for the Split Peak Soup podcast. I'm your host, Neil Carney, and I'm here with a really special guest today, my good friend, Scott Crump. And Crumpy's just here off of, did you just come in tonight off your flight?
Last night.
Oh, last night.
Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, we're stoked to have him. Me and Scott have been friends for quite a long time, pushing well past 20 years. I used to ride his surfboards, and so we're going to get into surfboard talk about life in Australia, and also go over your origins in the industry. So how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah?
No worries after the flight. It was good.
Nice.
Pretty empty plane, so I had a good sleep.
Yeah, that helps. There's nothing worse than having just like a baby shitting their pants and screaming the whole flight or something like
there was
that.
none of that.
Okay.
Just a glass of wine, I went to sleep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're here to deliver some boards?
Yeah, I generally every 5 or 6 weeks I come over with a couple of bags full of boards and deliver them a lot to Santa Cruz because I have a long history here.
Yeah.
And I had a batch today. I think I have 2 more to deliver tonight, and then I'm heading up to Oregon to see my mom.
Okay. Yeah, and that's pretty unique because, I had Michelle Junot on, the shaper, a few episodes ago, and, in the past 5 years or so, he's moved from Santa Cruz to Arizona.
Yeah, I heard that.
So he's in Arizona, and he basically, gets orders, drives all the way to Oceanside, and then, has these boards that have already been cut, but he finishes them up, and then glass, and then he goes up the California coast delivering them. But your commute is a little further than that.
I know. I rolled my eyes when I heard about that drive, and then I thought, well, I flew 12 hours last night. So.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And does that wear on you at all, or is it keep it exciting? You get to travel and see friends and stuff. I bet that's cool.
No, I love it actually, because but I'm not living in Arizona. I'm living at Noosa Heads in Australia. So being home is really nice. But then I've always had the travel bug all my life since I was a kid, and it just I like it better because we make our boards there. I have a really good relationship with the factory. I can make sure everything is absolutely perfect, and I load up and go.
Yeah.
And I always combine the trips. Usually they're Southern California, Santa Cruz, Northern California, and then, like I said, my mom lives up in Portland, and she's elderly, so I get a chance to go see her.
Wicked. And before this, you were in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, I spent 2 years over in Hawaii working for Town & Country and surfing around the South Shore mostly, some North Shore. I was shaping boards up at Richie Collins' factory over near the sugar mill, and I can't remember what that town's called over there. Really small town. But but that kind of ran its course. Wifey and I decided to go back to Australia. My wife's Australian, who
Yeah.
And she's a registered nurse, RN, and she got offered a really good job at Noosa. And I've never lived up there, but I've been there a lot. And I said, let's go.
Yeah. And so Hawaii, I'd assume, is like, I haven't been to the North Shore or the South Shore in many years, like 20 years. But was it any different this time than, years past? Like, is just the rate of expansion and growth in surfers?
I don't know. It's what I tell everybody. It's like, because I was living in Honolulu in the edge of Waikiki. A lot of surf. When you're in the water, it's paradise, turtles, fun surf, and all that kind of stuff. But it's a big city with big city problems.
Yeah.
And like back in my younger days, when I used to go to the North Shore every winter, we'd only go to town just to party for a night or something like that. And it was a lot safer then. Like I never really felt threatened, but there's a lot of homeless, a lot of drug messed up people.
Yeah.
And it was kind of confronting because I haven't lived in a big city for a long time. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's just bizarre because you go to work's all rosy. I would ride my bike everywhere, ride my bike home, run across to surf Kaisers or something. Dreamy. There's grass between, like Fort Rusi Parks between my apartment and that. But then you go to shopping or something and you would just see not nice stuff.
Yeah. It always trips me out, this kind of the stark contrast when you're living somewhere that's like really beautiful with a ton of like natural beauty, perfect waves, especially here in Santa Cruz and in Hawaii. And then, but then you've got people basically just like living in rags and just being overcome with mental health problems, drug addiction.
Confronting, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I'm either blessed or cursed with a very empathetic And when you see people like that down and out, it's tough.
Yeah, I know. It's a tricky one. I work by Dominican Hospital, and there's this dude every morning when I'm driving to work, and he's in the center divider, and he's got a sign ask for money, and he's got a dog there and stuff, but this guy looks freaking pretty healthy to me.
Right.
And like he's like kind of like actually like fit.
Like a professional.
Yeah, and I kind of part of me like some days I'm looking at him and this dog and I'm going like, damn, that really sucks. And then other days I'm like holding back, like yelling something like get a job. And I know that like
because he looks like he could.
That's the thing is he looks like he could, but I don't know what's going on in his shoes, and it's easy for me to to assume, but I don't know. So yeah, I guess just another instance where we got to count our blessings, and and I think empathy is a good thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough.
Yeah,
it's easy when you live somewhere beautiful and you're not seeing bad things, but when not bad things, just the way life has gone.
Yeah,
I never ever thought, like from my 20s till now, that I would see things progressively get worse. I always assumed, as technology and everything, you would think they would progressively get better, but it seems like it's going the other way.
Yeah. Well, there's people in high places who have a vested interest in keeping people divided and subdued. And, I mean, just turn on the news. It's just like, a bunch of mess, crappy, horrible stuff.
Billionaires from drugs that keep people messed up.
Yeah, basically, so, but, we're not really into politics here in this podcast, but, you can't deny the fact that sometimes it just kind of comes into our purvey, and we gotta, you gotta be educated and know what's going on, but at the same time, free up that mental space to do cool things. And
right, exactly.
Speaking of doing cool things, you just been a very busy man with your shaping for many years. Let's get in from the start. Let's go all the way back and talk about your upbringing and where you were born and how you got into surfing.
Wow, that's way back.
Yeah.
I was born in Oakland.
Okay.
Beautiful Oakland. And lived in the suburbs up there and skated a lot as a little rat, and then started surfing probably relatively late for most people, like 13-ish. And absolutely loved it. Surfed Ocean Beach in San Francisco all the time. That was pretty much my home break. And Fort Point and Deadman's and stuff. And then decided I wanted to be a pro surfer. And at that time, there was only like Wide World Sports, Pipeline Masters, and stuff like that. And I knew I would not be a pro surfer at Ocean Beach because most of the people that lived there at that time and surfers were drunk by noon, driving unregistered cars and racing around the city. City was pretty loose back then.
Yeah.
And so I decided I wanted to move to Southern California because that's where pro surfers were from. And I have a sister that was living in Vista at the time, which is just inland of Carlsbad. And I went to move down with her. Her house was a lot of people living there, so I only stayed a few weeks. And then I hooked up with some friends in Carlsbad and stayed there. And at the time, Carlsbad was just like Santa Cruz, and different places have their periods. That's when Joey Barand, Pipeline Master, David Barr, Phil Tribal, there's all these like legit pro surfers were coming out of there. So I got lucky and connected up with Joey Barand. He became my coach. He kind of drug me into some waves I didn't really want to surf because he was crazy, big wave guy.
Yeah.
But then I started touring at a young age, like 17. I think I made my first trip to Australia with him.
Okay.
And then it just kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah.
I played soccer when I was a kid. I loved it. It was the only other sport I was good at. But once I started surfing, team sports were not. I didn't want coaches to tell me what. I mean, surf coach is different.
Yeah.
You only deal with them when you're surfing heats and stuff.
Right.
Well, now it's different. Now there's a lot of overcoaching as well.
Yeah.
But back then it was like team sports were not for me.
And who were some of your first sponsors?
I was riding Mike Barron surfboards, and there's a guy, Randy Lane. Wes Lane was his younger brother. Was a big pro surfer. Randy Lane was a Rip Curl rep for Southern California.
Okay.
And he picked me up from Rip Curl, and it wasn't like a big time deal or anything, but when Wayne Lynch or Shane Aran or Tom Carroll would come into town, he'd always like grab me and take me surfing with all these guys. So that definitely kind of lifted me up not into their level, but lifted my level quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was with Piping Hot for a while, and that's who sponsored me for my first trip to Australia.
Okay.
And And then that was O'Neill for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Hotline for a long time.
Okay.
And I go to Japan and stay with the guys in Hotline Japan, and they're still around here.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so the first exposure that you had to shaping, how did you ease into that? How did that all start out with you?
It's kind of a weird one because there was a big gap. My first board I ever shaped was with Michael Barron at Oceanside.
Okay.
And he really wanted me to do it. I didn't want to do it. And I made an okay board, wrote it a couple of times, and sold it at a local surf shop. And then there was a big break, and then I was sponsored by Burn Surfboards, Phil Byrne in Australia. And I think Phil was kind of funny. Like, I had a trials heat in Japan one time, and Robbie Page was in it, and he rode for Burn Surfboards, very eccentric guy.
Yeah.
And I beat him, and I made it through the heat. It was a really tough heat, Marty Thomas and a bunch of other guys. And Phil came up, and Page goes, "Hey, Phil, this is Crumpy. It's my mate from California." And Phil goes, "How did you let that effing Yank beat you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, F you, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And we ended up being quite good friends.
Oh, cool.
And then after all of that time, a long time, his younger brother, Krita, invited me. They had a large retail, kind of like how O'Neill is here. They had a massive retail shop. And they invited me down to work in the summers in the shop, which at that time I was actually living in Bali. And the summers is a rainy season. So the reason I went to Bali is because I felt like when I finished pro surfing, because back then you used to age out at 28.
Right.
And I felt like I was a good surfer. I'd won contests and stuff, but I was a crap backside barrel rider. Like, just wasn't natural.
Yeah.
And I had just started learning how to do it at an unnamed break that happens to be about 5 miles north of town.
Yeah.
And I remember being out there and I was getting clobbered in the head. At this time I was sponsored by Pearson Arrow. And I kept pulling in and getting, because there's a real wedgy beach break, kept getting clobbered in the head. And I remember Bud Miller, who was a really good backside tube rider, comes up to me and just goes, "Crump, put your front foot parallel with the stringer."
Yeah.
Because my foot was always like this.
Right.
And as soon as I did that, I learned how to backside tube ride.
Unlocked.
Because it pulled my shoulders in, and a simple technique thing changed everything.
Yeah.
And at that time I go, that's all I want to do now is get really good at that. And obviously Indonesia, Uluwatu, I'm a regular foot. So I went there with some friends, ended up living there for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I would do the rainy season at the Burn Shop, which is like summer in Australia, December, January, February.
Yeah.
So I worked for them. I did that a couple of years. And then Phil got me a 3-year visa. Like sort of like they give like B-grade basketball players from America go get a sporting visa.
Yeah.
So they did that, but they just kind of, instead of paying me a surfing salary, they paid, it was what I worked for in the shop. And then I made a deal with them every Sunday I would shape a board.
Okay.
And I ran the shop on Sundays. They close at 2. Australia, Sunday's a party day. It's a slack day. So I would run the shop till 2. They'd go, and I would shape a board every Sunday. And I did that for about a year. But I remember the second one I shaped, I won a contest at Ununan. And I came running up the beach, and Phil was there. He's not the most supportive. He's a little bit of a, I don't know, just not the most supportive guy.
Sure.
He's supportive as a friend.
Yeah.
But kind of like a stay in your lane kid kind of. And I remember I won the contest. I ran up and I go, "I'm a shaper now, Phil." And he goes, "No, you're not." And he was right. It takes hundreds, like especially before the CNC.
Right.
Hundreds and hundreds of boards before you had, everything was,
Yeah.
So I would just hand shape a board, put a sticker on it, ride it once, put it in the used board rack, sell it for how much it cost me to make. And I just,
Oh, that's smart.
I did it for a couple of years. And then once my visa ran out, I think it was 96, my ex-wife and I bought a round the world ticket, and I went to South Africa. It was the first stop, I think. And because the guy that did Burn Surfboards at the time in South Africa had been staying with us, John O'Hutchison, really cool guy. Still has a shop there in Ballito. And I went up there, I stayed with him, and he set me up to shape some boards at Spider Surfboards, which Spider is an absolute legend in South Africa.
Yeah.
He's like the guy. Which was unreal. Like I had the best time, and it's very cheap to make surfboards in South Africa. So you can make a lot of them. The resale didn't have to be as high because they weren't costing hardly anything.
Right.
So I did a big batch from there, went to England, sold the boards there, went down to Spain. I think I did some boards in Portugal. And then we ended up, my ex-wife's from Half Moon Bay, we ended up Half Moon Bay.
Wow.
And that's where I set up my first factory, my first Soul Life factory.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like an international education in a sense.
Well, it's pretty cool because, I mean, some shapers, like we're all craftsmen, but some people are very open and sharing. And a lot of them are just walls up. Don't come in my shapy bay. Don't look at my templates. So I've always been the other way because everyone was so open with me. I'm very open with everybody.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, it was kind of trippy. It's just personalities like anywhere.
Yeah.
But you have to be pretty eccentric to want to do a job like that anyway. Because it's not, even the top guys only make so much money. And it's not like there's an unlimited ceiling. It's more for love.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about your experience doing like the pro surfing stuff because, you know, every little age that we have there's little bit, you know, things that are different for each generation. And was this, what years do you think you were doing your most active pro surfing?
Oh, probably, I don't know. But around middle of the 80s, Joey Brand teamed up with Body Glove and he got a deal with ESPN and Budweiser. And they had a thing called the Bud Tour. I think the official title was the PSAA or something like that.
Right.
But in the early days, he was ringing me up because I was actually living in Santa Cruz at that time. And he's like, what do you think? You know, I want to do this tour. First place gets $500. But it was accessible because the ASP at the time, every event was 1 million miles away. So you're in for a couple grand and maybe make a couple hundred, you know? Yeah. So it went, and he had like A, B, and C things, like rated events, like 1 stars, 3 stars.
Sure.
And he had good locations, man. We had him at the Lane. Remember Rufo won the one at the Lane?
Yep.
Rufo did a lot of those events as well. Malibu, Trestles. We went to Sebastian in Florida before they messed the jetty up. It was quite a good wave. Like we were getting barrels in Florida on that trip. Actually, I had Adam in a heat there. I got like 3 barrels, thought I owned him, and he beat me. So, I just killed that. He's like, that was fun. And I got like 3rd or something. I'm I'm like a little, because he was a Grom still to me, you know. Right. But that's all right. Yeah. Cool. Anyway, and then we went to East Coast, and we had events at Haleiwa. And I did that, and later those points counted towards WSL points, and that's or ASP points, and that's when like Slater and all those guys, all of a sudden they jumped onto the world tour because they were winning our tour. Right. They didn't have to like sludge out a full world qualifying thing. Yeah. So it worked out great for those guys. It worked out great for me too because we had like, some years we had maybe 25, 30 events. So that's more than it's like every other weekend pretty much. Right. Do my math real quick.
Something like that. Yeah.
And I was a top 30 seed for most of the whole tour. So you're always seeded into the money. Yeah. So dead last, you had like $350. Right. But back then, that's like now it'd be $1,000, you know?
That's like your rent for a month or something like
totally.
that. Totally.
And the sponsors were quite easier to get back then too.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And so were you also getting a little bit of coin from the sponsors as well?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah. Piping Hot started that, and then Hotline was quite supportive. And then after that, there was an Australian company that set up distribution in Santa Barbara called Wavelength Wetsuits. Okay. And they paid me well, and then eventually after a few years with them, I started running their team as well, like a lot of guys do. Right. So I had a X amount of dollars for sponsorship and a pretty much equal amount for the team management. So then that kind of led into future jobs with Billabong and other things like that. Right.
And so like during this whole time, you moved to Santa Cruz before you were living in Half Moon Bay, right? You were there in the late 80s, right? Yeah. What was Santa Cruz like at the time? Whereabouts were you living?
Oh, I was lucky. I moved in, I hate to date myself, but it was 82, the year of the river mouth.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Santa Barbara was epic. Yeah. And I was just home back from my first trip to Australia. Like those trips were long. They were like 3 months because they'd have the events were like a month apart. Right. Which was cool as a surfer because you would travel the country, not just beam in and beam out. But anyway, I got back. Long story short, my girlfriend wasn't my girlfriend anymore when I got back. Yeah. Kind of freaked out. And a friend of mine was living just over by the Santa Cruz Civic. And he goes, come up, live with us, you know? So I went up there and he goes, oh, the river mouth's epic. And I'd surfed Santa Cruz a bunch, but not the river mouth. I think that was the first time, probably not the first time, but people still talk about that sandbar. Yeah. Because it went on for like a year and the lefts and the rights were just perfect. So, and you didn't even have to wake up early or anything. You just walk down there at 9:00. Surf for 3 hours, go home, have lunch, do the same thing in the evening. It was just epic, man. Right. So epic. And through that, I met Mark Machado, Matt Makuda, Kevin Reed was doing airs over my head. Sick. Like it was rad out there. And and also surfing Pleasure Point a lot. So I was more kind of geared that way, East Side. But after a while, I got to know Vince and Vince Collier and all those guys, and I could surf the West Side. Cool. I was never, Right. They would yell at me and then give me a hug.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing. Like, I think growing up, I was so terrified to like surf like the Ave or something like that. I didn't surf until I was like in my mid-20s, and it seemed like a whole different town.
I think I was just really naive because like I've never really been local anywhere.
Right.
Because I've moved always my whole life. I just like, because I like to check new places, you know.
Yeah.
And you never don't really know if you love them until you live there, you know. And I remember like surfing for Pearson Arrow, and we used to do these crazy team trips, and Bob had like 2 big Dodge vans or something like that, and you'd have, you know, Bud Miller, who was a gnarly West Side guy. Even though he was a little guy, he was a gnarly guy. Him and Vince were like the Heckle and Jekyll. They were gnarly.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Reed, who was just so far ahead of everybody. Didn't realize it at the time, but his surfing was just so mental. Like he was so far ahead of everyone. And then like Ward Coffee and even Rex Boys from the Beaches, a real mixed group. And like we go down to those contests. Like I used to have a surf shop challenge contest down there. And I remember seeing Vince and Richard Schmidt, who was always super, super nice guy. And Vince, all of a sudden, he'd see me down there and he kind of warmed up a little bit. And then, you know, he always had that blue truck at the lane and just yell at people and stuff. And I remember pulling up, and one time he was screaming at me, and I was going to surf the lane, just pretty much shitting myself.
Yeah.
He calls, and then he comes over and gives me a hug, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm finally all right here.
Yeah. For sure.
Because I like the lane. Lane's fun.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but it was hardcore. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And then Av was, you know, Av's always been really, it's been locked down for a long time.
Definitely.
I've snuck a few surfs out there when it's a little too high a tide and stuff like that. But I mean, there was a couple guys out this morning. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
But from that, I surfed a lot on the west side, a lot of like natural bridges and stuff like that. But I don't know. It was just, I rode bikes everywhere. It was like Santa Cruz is like a world, you know?
Yeah.
You got the 2 different sides. You got tons of different surf. It's a pretty amazing place. That's why I'm still so connected to it.
Yeah. And cheap rent in those days, and
Yeah, I guess
a lot of partying and stuff.
To be honest, I don't even remember what the rents were like, so they must have been cheap.
Right.
You know, I never had fancy places, but I was always a bike ride from a good surf spot. So nowadays, that wouldn't be the case. I had a lot of partying for sure. Never like, I didn't really, other than weed and stuff, you didn't really see like drugs though. It wasn't
Right.
hardcore partying.
Sure.
But there was a lot of house parties, fun, drinking beer.
Yeah.
Tons of, you know, girls around, and it's a fun place, you know. And there wasn't that element of, we're never worried. Like you could walk home from somewhere like El Tampico in downtown and not worry about getting mugged or anything.
Right.
You know. So
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a good little span of time there.
yeah. And I came back and forth a lot over the years because I'd moved from here. Moved back to Carlsbad. I come up here. I'd moved to Oceanside, and that was kind of my stretch until I started like stopped competing and just was on a surf mission and shaping mission.
Yeah. And so what was that, you kind of briefly touched on it, but like that point in the career, because like after like 28, like if you were 30, you're probably looked at weird if you were still
Yeah, there was guys doing it, but there was no sponsors.
Yeah.
Once you're not like a young blonde stud, even if you're like, I did my best surfing in my mid 30s for sure.
Yeah.
Probably even into my 40s. I felt, because it takes a long time to know the ocean, especially in waves that are more of consequence, you know. And once you don't get comfortable until you do it a lot.
Right.
And when you're traveling on the tour, you're just competing in 2-foot beach break most of the time.
Yeah.
So you're like whippersnapper kid, you know, up to 6 feet. But unless you're like a few random, like Pete Mel or someone like that who just like went straight to it, it took a long time to develop that real want and to be comfortable to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
And so did you have that in mind, like, because I was talking to Noah Wegerich about this when I had him over for the podcast like a week ago, and he was talking about like, you know, he's I think 32, and I don't know, I just kind of asked him if he had any like plans of what he was going to do outside of surfing when that kind of dries up. But did you have any idea when you stopped doing it, or was there like any like crisis of identity or trepidation?
No. And the reason I say no is because all I really wanted to do was surf anyway. So I was
Yeah.
going to find a way to do it.
Right.
So like when I fell off the tour, didn't fall off. I said, well, I'm done now. My sponsor's not here anymore. I moved to Bali for 3 years and just surfed Indonesia for 3 years. And that cost money, but back then not much.
Right.
It's like you could live off $500 a month there.
Totally.
And I would go down, like I said, in the wet season to burn in Australia and shape there. And then I would haul up tons of boards to Bali, and because Phil had to set up with a Balinese guy to sell boards, and I'd make like $100 off each one.
Okay.
And that was me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did that. And I did that for about 3 years. And during that time, I was learning how to shape myself. But back then, there was no CNC machines or anything. So the process took a long time.
Yeah.
You know, but I was learning from masters. getting killer templates. Like I didn't have to figure. There was no YouTube,
Right.
so that was my YouTube. I figured it out from asked a lot of questions,
Yeah.
hung around a lot, did crappy jobs, ran the milling machines. Before there was CNC, we had like these. Like I don't know if you ever seen one. It's like a bottom rocker thing with a cradle, and you would just mill boards all day.
Right.
Real exciting work, and packing boards as well. Like because back then, Burn Surfboards was selling a ton of boards in Japan, so you had to pack them like because they were expensive boards.
Yeah.
So
Well, then, so at some point, just lead me through the establishment of Soul Life as a brand.
okay, when I was on that trip that I mentioned before around the world, we were going through. I was trying to figure out a board label. I didn't have a board label. I had just been shaping under the Burn thing, and I did boards in South Africa just with a shape logo on it, and it just said ASC. My first name's Arthur,
Right.
And it was a ripoff of an old O&E logo. I just changed the letters in it.
Nice.
They didn't care. They were cool. They're from down near Wollongong, where
Right.
from. And I got to I think it was Spain. And we were doing like a big long drive trip, and my ex-wife would get very angry at me sometimes and not talk for days and days and days and days and days. So, and I would just say, I'm going surf. If you're not going to talk to me, I'm just going to surf my brains out, And she would still film sometimes. Like she filmed me on some Epic J Bay and stuff like that. But we're going through Spain, and I was like, I like the sun. And a couple of my best friends at the time, my friend Clayton that I grew up with in the Bay Area and stuff, just great people, but they fell into the night. They became like, they found cocaine.
Right.
Stayed up all night,
Sure.
and which led to other things, thievery, whatever.
Yeah.
And most of them ended up in jail. He ended up doing almost life in jail.
Jeez.
And I was like, I want to, sun is me, live in the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, and everywhere in Spain, the sun is soul. That's the name. And soul vida, like I was like soul life, the day, like, but I'm like, but it's soul vida because vida is life in Spanish.
Yeah.
Like no one will get that. And I went, screw it. I'm just going to mix the two languages and call it soul life.
Yeah.
And that's where the label came from.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was like kind of a kickback of what I saw where a lot of my like closest friends were. I'm sure you've had people here too, same kind of place, falling into that. And then a constant reminder because every day I made a Soul Life surfboard.
Right.
So it was a constant reminder of realize how lucky you are, live in the day, feed off the vitamins in the sun, and, because back then we weren't wearing sunscreen or anything.
Right.
It's just, you were just soaking in it. Vitamin D, I think.
Yeah.
It's just soaking in it all day. Sunburn a lot, but I'm sure that's not the best thing. But yeah, that's where that came from. And
Cool.
then Matt Makuda helped me with my first logos, which was a legend around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a sign shop. I think he did my very first logo.
Totally.
Because we had the sun, and then we had the word Soul Life, and then I was with my friend George in Half Moon Bay, and he goes, put the sticker over the sun, it'll look better, instead of having, and then it got cleaned up.
Yeah.
And now we're still using that logo today.
Wow. I didn't know that Makuda did that.
Yeah, he
for
did
you.
the original Soul Life logo.
Oh, wow. Wicked.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And then, so at some point, you were established yourself. You put down kind of more or less roots in Half Moon Bay for a
totally.
number of years.
Yeah, for like.
What was that like? How'd you like that experience?
It was, well, it's because my factory was right by Mavericks, just in the Princeton Harbor. I don't surf Mavericks.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends from Santa Cruz do, so they'd always come by afterwards, all amping, have a beer at my factory and stuff like that. It was a good location for me because it's a small town. Ocean Beach is probably at the time was my favorite beach break, pretty much in the world.
Yeah.
Like I spent a lot of time in France, all that. That beach gets crazy.
Yeah.
The last week it was crazy. And then, and Santa Cruz, like, because Half Moon Bay's foggy a lot. And it can kind of get you down in summer. And you drive to Año and the fog stops.
Right.
And you're like, oh, Santa Cruz is 80 degrees. Half Moon Bay's 59. But it was kind of good centered. I was getting my boards glassed here at M10 Surfboards for a while. And it was good for a few years. But then at that time I had a job working for Billabong on the side.
Right.
Just doing like a NorCal surf team thing. I think we had like 5 guys. It's like Augie and Bud and I know, small team.
Yeah.
Kind of an easy job.
Was Dom riding for them? Spinardi?
Yeah, I had him on there. We had a good little crew.
Yeah.
But they just wanted me to keep it tight and small, and they paid me for it. So I was like, sick. And then they had me I ran a couple junior pros up here. I ran one in Half Moon Bay. Like,
Yeah.
those kids don't even know. Like, I started that high school surf team there. And then remember, it was Dom and Aaron Schumann and Ryan Johnson. There was like 3 or 4 kids. They used to come down here and probably surf against you guys down here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they had a WSL Pro Junior at Kelly Street. That was older guys weren't stoked, but
Yeah.
the younger guys were stoked.
For sure.
Because, you know, Clark and all those guys have held it down up there for a long time. So it was, but I had good friends up there. So like some of my really good friends, like my friend George Heald, he was good friends with all those guys. So he acted like a buffer between the grumpies and the young guys, you know.
And what did like you know, a position working as like a team manager in that, I know that was, you were just like the NorCal guy, but like, was it something that you could, was it just kind of side money, or was it kind of like, were they paying you good? That
At that time I was making a lot more money on surfboards
Right.
than I was on that. Because I had a good little network. Mike Marshall, remember Mike Marshall? He was distributing boards probably from San Luis all the way up to Humboldt to shops for me. So we had a good little business going. They paid me decent money, and they paid for like most of my expenses, which anywhere I went, but it didn't really turn into more until going back. I forget how much like Joey Brand really helped me. At that time, he was the coach of Billabong, period.
Right.
For everybody.
Yeah.
And he's always, at the younger days, he was on the fence with being not a priest, but when you're
pastor.
Yeah. And he was always with one of those big Southern California churches. And he decided to go full blown into that.
Right.
And he went into Paul Naudet and Graham Stapleberg, the guys who are running Billabong. And he's like, I'm leaving. You need to hire Scott Crump as the national coach.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that. I didn't even know he had done it. I just got a call up. And they go, but you have to move to Southern California. So I said, all right. That paid pretty good money. I mean, I don't want to say the figure, but it was, you could pay a small mortgage with it. You know.
Yeah.
So it was good. And at that, since I was a national coach, shaping at the same time, I was going everywhere. I got access to a lot high end surfers were getting boards off me and stuff like that. So it worked really good. And I did that from 2000 to 2003. And that's when it opened the door. My ex-wife and I had bought and sold a condo in Half Moon Bay, and then we bought a place in San Clemente. And real estate, like always, was going up and up. And I had a window to move to Australia because you had to have a certain amount of money in the bank and to get the visa. And she agreed. And I walked into Billabong, and I go, because do you have annual contracts like January to whatever? And I go, I'm leaving. And I think it was like maybe November. And they go, well, we kind of figured because people have been applying for your job. I didn't even, because I had obviously told someone who told someone whatever.
Yeah.
And I go, but I want to get paid till March. And they go, well, we can't do that. I go, well, I've already done the whole year's, because I ran a thing called a Surf Rat series. They were like free, like kind of the Volcom style events. I was running 3 or 4 pro juniors and actually a couple of QS events for them in Panama, Costa Rica, and in San Clemente. So I go, I've already got the permits, because no one did that for you back then. I already have the permits for the whole year. Everything's mapped out. Everything's set. But I'm moving March 1st to Australia, and I want to still be employed by you guys because Bud came down, TJ Barron, a bunch of guys, and I would take them to the pro, because Australia used to have the strongest pro junior tour.
Right.
And I would take them and coach them to those events.
Yeah.
And they agreed to it. So I stayed with them for a long time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's wicked. And then, so, you know, I imagine that whatever happened, it wasn't long for you and that wife to kind of, things didn't work out so great in Australia.
Everything worked out great except for her.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe not for her.
Oh, she was happy there. We just weren't good together.
Okay. Well, you know, that happens. People grow apart and stuff. And so I think I probably started riding your boards like around 2005 or something like that.
It was earlier than that.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I moved in 2003.
Okay.
And we were making boards for probably a year or two before that.
Right.
And then my ex and I split up around 2004, I think.
Okay.
And then that's when I lived in the Cabarita.
Yes.
And that's when you came and visited me, and I was already just getting together with Tia, who I'm with now.
Okay. Yes. I think I came in 2007 that summer, and you let me stay with you for a couple months. I think it was. And
we had fun.
Dude, that was a hell time. And I think I remember the first day you picked me up from the airport, and we had McCubbin, Brett.
Oh yeah, airbrusher. Yeah.
Yeah, the airbrusher was with us, and then I think that day we went for a surf, and I think the first session, like your board flipped, and like the fin caught you on the ass.
You were there that day?
Yeah, I was there. So you had to get some stitches.
I have a nice scar on my right butt cheek.
Yeah, nice. We'll show that in the OnlyFans edition of the Split Peak Suit podcast.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But so that was an amazing time. And right in Cabarita, and that place is really fun. That wave,
there's
like
good waves there, and you're only 15 minutes from Deba and Kira and all that.
totally. And there's like a little point break, and there's like two. I mean, there's like a main
Fingers,
point, and then
yeah.
there's the headland kind of, and then the beach break. I remember the beach break was super fun. I'd be surfing it by myself, and
Yeah.
like I was tripping out.
There's some good surfers from around there. That Chippa Wilson.
Chippa, yeah,
he's gnarly. He's from there.
Yeah, and yeah, so that was a really fun experience, and I got to meet your beautiful wife Tia. And
early days, too.
Yeah, so how did you meet Tia?
New Year's party.
Okay, cool.
She's very conservative, so she hates when I say that.
Yeah, well, that's
But,
okay.
no, we just met at a New Year's party. I just had a couple years single and was probably drinking a little bit too much and like dating a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. And a good friend of mine, Jim Tomlinson, who was at the time the CNC master of board design, CAD design. Mm-hmm. He was doing all of Weber's Taj boards and all that stuff. He lived down the road from me, and his wife worked with Tia.
Okay.
And they invited me to a New Year's party, and we had a New Year's kiss, and
Oh wow.
chased her for a few months after that, and then here we are, 17th anniversary, about a week ago.
Wow. And did she grew up by Ballina, right?
Yeah, Ballina.
Ballina. Oopsies. Yeah. Good to catch me now before I say it in some pub in Australia or something like that.
Yeah, no, she's from Ballina and Lennox Head.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we got together and got married, we bought a house in Lennox, which has got a world-class point break as well.
Right. So, and
I like point breaks if you don't.
Yeah.
You haven't figured that out.
For sure. Well, I don't blame you. Yeah. Something we can.
Now I live at Noosa Heads, which is Point Break City as well.
Yeah. And I remember Ballina, like we drove up to her house and kind of just like the house that she lived in at the time, I think, or her kids did or something like that.
Yeah, she lived in there a long time.
And you were telling me about how, it was really sharky at that place.
Yeah.
If you open up like Beach Grit, that's like a surf website, there have been just really regular stories about like some shark attacks and stuff. And
Recently,
what do you think that's all about? I remember Ballina was like a place where you said, yeah, you're like, this place is super sharky, but
There's a huge river mouth there, though. Like a giant river system exits there.
Okay.
And like most of those shark attacks there are usually bull sharks. Mm-hmm. And bull sharks tend to live in the rivers in the brackish water. Mm-hmm. And after heavy rains, they wash out. And they eat whatever.
Right.
Not picky. Mm-hmm. So they're usually, most shark attacks from bull sharks are in dirty water.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's because they can't see or if there's too much smells, but they just nail stuff.
And they get all horny or something from all the crap, all the.
I've never heard that description.
Well, horny for blood, the bloodlust gets all revved up when they start smelling like different pollutants and stuff that are coming out, and maybe the water temperature changes.
That's funny because this shirt,
Yeah.
there's a friend of mine, it's called the Adventure Garage.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, he does like rovers and he fixes them all up. Mm-hmm. That's in Ballina.
Okay.
Just random.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but the attacks you're hearing now, like the ones in Sydney, all been white pointers, which is like a Southern Hemisphere equivalent of a great white.
Okay.
And those are the ones one bite.
It's over. Yeah.
And we've had, I think, 4 of those last week.
Yeah.
In Sydney, which is quite a way south of us.
Right.
I think one of them, the little 12-year-old kid that just passed away, rest in peace, that was a bull shark because he was swimming in the harbor. Mm-hmm. And the harbor's, we've had a ton of rain down there.
Yeah.
So it just gets dirty. The sewage system can only handle so much.
Yeah. And so when you were working in Hawaii, then Tia got a job offer, and that's why you moved back, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I needed to have an operation done. I had a hernia that I'd been carrying for a long time. And it was going to cost a mint because your health system is so expensive, the United States health system. So, and we talked about it, and I was going to be out of work for a couple of months as well. Hawaii's not cheap, It's like if you want to surf a lot and you're going to work a lot, and you're just going to barely have your head above water.
Right.
Great place to just have your head above water. But
yeah.
Anyway, so she had the opportunity, and I was pretty keen because the area she got a job at, it's kind of paradise, really. And I have always had factories and or worked on the Gold Coast, which is a couple hours south, but everything just fell into place. Like I got a contact from the guys where I get my blanks to work with this place called Sunglass, who are one of the best glass factories I've ever seen. The workmanship's excellent and really nice people. Old school style factory, beers on a Friday afternoon. A lot of skilled craftsmen right there. And for me, it's much better than, I know some shapers are different, but I need to I thrive on outside influences. Other shapers work, surfers, material people, nerds, whatever it is
Yeah.
that relates to surfboards. And I don't want it every day, but I want it a couple of days a week.
Right.
And it works perfect for me right now. Because I go down there and I was speaking to you earlier about the channel bottoms. There's a guy, Ian Byrne and Alan Byrne, the legends of 6 channels. And I've always loved 6 channels. And Ian happens to work 2 sheds next to the shed right by the one I work at. So we got connected up, and now I'm working with him doing a collaboration on some 6 channel models, which, I mean, it's not good for everyday surf. But if you're going to Tavarua or G-Land or Burley Heads or somewhere that's rock fast wave, they're the epic. They're the ultimate, in my opinion, design.
What do they do? Like in just like layman's terms,
They just
water displacement.
It's like a V8. It's like a big engine in your back. Like
Yeah.
they're a little bit less maneuverable, but when you get a good pump and a good jam off it, they accelerate and they have tons of momentum. Like there's a difference between like momentum and speed or quickness. Momentum to me is just like drive, like
Right.
wah.
Yeah.
And like you can like go, oh my God, there's a 30-foot section in front of me, off the bottom, or you're back on the face. You know what I mean? Whereas your little concave board, you're doing that little 3 bottom turns. You don't do any triple bottom turns on this.
Yeah.
You lay them over and drive them. You know, you have to have little fins on them, or they get too stiff. And you put a ton of tail rocker in them, and so they'll still turn nicely, but you're going fast.
Yeah. And they're pretty like time consumed or take a long time.
Take a long time to build, and you have to have crazy craftsmen to do them. Because like I used to make a lot of them, like around when you were on the Gold Coast with us and stuff. And but like it's so easy the sander has to be pretty much the best, because there's all these little top edges everywhere.
Yeah.
And the glassers have to know exactly what they're doing, because you can fill the channels now. You just have a bunch of resin in the tail with some lines, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to have the guys, you know. So for me, I wouldn't even have started doing them again if I didn't connect with Ian Byrne and have Taka the glasser, because he does Ian's boards, and Ian does way deeper ones than I even like. They're too deep. I do his mids, his mid channels, you know, and they're like, So that's a really exciting project for this coming year.
Cool.
It's like we won't do thousands of them, but the guys that get them are going to be stoked if they take them to the right waves.
And I was just kind of thinking about this, like being like a surfboard shaper and having it be your occupation is like, it's not like a really realistic thing for that many people. And I mean, I wouldn't like, tell anyone not to follow their dreams, but it's just like, you really have to fucking hustle.
If you want to do your own thing.
Right.
Like there's a lot of work for ghost shapers.
Okay.
Like, you see, like you can be anywhere in the world and see a lost surfboard or a Channel Island surfboard. Those are all made by ghost shapers in those countries.
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of cracks me up. Like so many people, like you're in the middle of nowhere and they run down the beach with a brand new Mayhem and you're like, that guy never saw that. Or I shouldn't just use him, but any of the major labels.
Right.
Those, like most of those shapers hadn't even been to that factory. Like I worked in Brazil a lot for the last few years, and there's like every major label is everywhere there, and they all are thinking, "Oh, I got a brand new America." You're like, first of all, Al's retired.
Yeah.
And second of all, that board did not come from Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
That came from San Paulo.
Well, that's the beauty of, these CNC machines. You can get so damn close, and if you have a well-trained,
I've ghost shaped thousands of boards myself.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that because, you had the Soul Life brand, but then it seemed like for a while, maybe this was just because of opportunity and such like that, but you kind of put that on ice for a bit, and then you were kind of working for other brands.
Yeah.
How did that all like come into play?
A few different things. Like one main, not a main reason, but obviously you got to make money.
Yeah.
So like for example, an opportunity came up in Portugal, and to do all the rusties for Europe. And they asked me to do it. And at the time, my wife's a nurse, and that job's hard.
Yeah.
So every 4 or 5 years, she's kind of burnt out. So I would take a contract, and we went to Portugal, and I did that for a year. Or like, you just take a contract and go and do them.
Yeah.
And even when I was in Australia, when I first got divorce is financially draining.
Sure.
So I was still making plenty of Soul Lifes, but I went to work shaping at JS because you could do, 10 a day.
Right.
But it doesn't pay that great. And it seems, I'm working at JS or I'm doing rusties, but it's not your creation. It's not very it's not. I mean, if you're going to be you want to be a shaper one day, like you have your own thing. I strongly suggest going through the Go shaping route.
Yeah.
Because it's a good way to get your numbers up and get your eye for curves.
Yeah. Yeah. And that'll just drive your experience
And
up.
then when you feel you're ready, now I'll put my brand on it and go,
Yeah.
But those opportunities weren't around when I was starting out. Mm-hmm. So.
And what gave you the impetus to lean back into your own brand? Was it something that just like, you're like, I need this change, and it was something that was financially viable at the time?
Creative. I didn't feel creative Go shaping because you're not.
Yeah.
You're just completely copying, imitating.
Right.
Sure, it's off of CNC and you have to have skill to get the edges right and everything, but it's like there's no creativity to it. Like I do a lot of work on the CNC files, and I have helped when I've been Go shaping for certain brands, and for that area the boards weren't going as good as they could. I've made slight adjustments, got them okayed by the places, and so I've had this much creativity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'd much rather, like, I design all my stuff on CAD, and I have a million files on there, and I freaking love it.
Yeah.
I've got a big screen, like your screen, I'm work on it. And let's just say, like, you have a board right now that I made you that goes pretty good for you, right? Mm-hmm. You can come to me and say, that board's great, but I put on 10 pounds, or, I need a little more, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I can go to the rocket board, design it up, get it cut. And then when I'm actually, as soon as they're cut, I shape it. So it's all fresh in my head.
Yeah.
And then I finish it off, and then I make notes on it saying that I'm like, say you wanted thicker rails, and I made the rails a little bit too thick, so I had to spend some time shaping them back down. So then I make a note, and I go back straight back to your file and adjust that. So next time it's, you know what I mean? And it's, I don't know, it's people, CAD, computers, but man, there's a lot of creativity that goes into before you get your hands on it.
Sure.
It's not just like rocker 2 1/4, nose 5. It's not. And all the bends and the more, just like any software program, the more you learn about it, the more things you can do with it. Like there's some pretty rad stuff you can do with Shape 3D.
Yeah. I was thinking of that. Is there any way that you can see, improvement of the technology? Could there be a CNC that just put it in and then it's done?
Well, there's always 3D printing. But the problem is you have to have material to put in the 3D printing machine. So you're not going to have, let's just say I like the Mega Light greens from South Coast, and I like a 1/8 inch plywood stringer 3D. You can't, those aren't pellets.
Right.
You can't throw those in and print it.
Yeah.
Like they can print a gun, sure, or they can print. But you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So there's so much more, even fins. Like there's a certain amount of layers of fiberglass isn't enough, and they're too tweaky. Too many, they're too stiff and heavy. You can put foam core in, but you can only put the foam matting in if they're molded fins. So then you need to make molds, which are a whole nother costly. And if the mold's not right, no, it's garbage.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. I mean, the cuts vary everywhere you go, and most of that is due to the machine operator.
Okay.
Because some people are lazy; they don't keep the tracks clean. So, because there's all this tracks, there's a lot of movement in a CNC machine. If it's just got a little bit of foam in there, it's going to go a little, not as much.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're pretty brilliant. Like I could adjust a board by so little, get it cut, and there it is.
Yeah.
You can see just the most. It's to the point where you almost get kind of like anal about it. Like I could easily do that with my planer in 2 seconds. But I want the cut to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you spend this time making the tail at 1/16 less thicker at 12 inch or whatever.
Right.
So. But no, they're pretty good. They're not perfect. They don't finish the board, which keeps people in jobs.
Yeah.
The boards, you usually have to thin out the tail and the nose a little bit, and they don't bottom roll the edges, so you don't even try, because they just don't know that feed. From where it's 90 to where it rolls into soft. That is such a feel thing.
Yeah.
It's impossible. There'd be just too many measurements to get it.
I bet it would probably kind of suck too to be a shaper and not even be able to put your hands on the boards at all,
And then sign it.
Yeah, you're like, well, I mean, I guess there is a lot of value to the, the intellectual kind of value to the shape itself.
The design,
the intellectual property.
Yeah.
But you want to be able to put your hands on those
and you
things.
can make changes as you're going, Like, since almost every board I do is custom. Right now, everything's custom. So, like, I'll remember a conversation, and as I'm finishing, I'm like, he likes a little more edge, or he wanted, and you can just do these things. Or like, I know that, you know, you surf a certain way at your spot or whatever, and it's a tight corner, or if it's a drawn out wave, whatever. And there's just little things that you can do still with your hands that make it completely custom besides the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I love. It's all about custom surfboards, man.
Right.
Like, I see pictures of big board labels with their stock rooms, like 500 boards hanging from a roof. And I'm like, I don't feel any soul in that or any love in that. It just, you know?
Right.
I mean, it blows me away that you have the World Tour. You have 32 guys plus a couple wild cards every event. I think there's 36 guys in the event, maybe 38. And there's like 4 labels, 4 shapers. To me, that's like NASCAR.
Yeah.
Like, why would everyone have the same car? Like, if, say, like, 2 guys are really close, like a Colapinto and even his brother or whatever, and they're riding the same board, wouldn't you want some sort of edge? Like, when I was growing up, I remember my first contest I was ever, like, really, like, it was rad. It was the Stubbies at Burley Heads, and it was pumping, and it was throaty little right-hand point. And MR and Shane Aran and all these guys were surfing great on completely different boards. And then this guy named Glenn Winton comes out, and he was this really unorthodox styled goofy foot. And he had 6 fins on his board.
Whoa.
And I was like, I'd never even seen a quad. And I was like, well, this guy's tripping. I'm going to watch him, you know? And he just did the most mental backhand. His style was weird. He was a lanky guy. He could lean into a pig dog like nobody ever saw with the most deepest style. And I'm like, wow, this guy's insane. He's getting through heats, you know? He wasn't winning the contest, and I saw him come back for like quarterfinals or something. And he's on the jump off spot at Burley. It's all rocks. And he knocks off the back 2 fins of his board, makes it a quad.
Oh, wow.
Fiberglass everywhere. One out, one is heat.
Sick.
And I was like, can you imagine now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, WSL would have a heart attack.
Right.
And he was
classic.
like clobbing. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Like, his board was kind of beat up anyway, like kind of brown, and he had put some spray paint on it and stuff like that. But I was like, and this guy was top 10 surfer in the world, man. And he was knocking fins out before his heat. And they're not like with screws.
Right.
They were glassed on.
That's kind of fucking legendary story.
Oh, totally, man. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is not what I've been Southern California white bread coach.
Right.
You know, like, oh my God, this guy is insane. And I followed him forever. And the guy was always like, small wave ripper Glenn Winton. And then I'm over on the North Shore and the guy's charging the biggest pipe with webs on.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's gnarly.
Legendary.
Yeah. And he just kind of phased out really quick, and you never hear anyone talk about him. But man, he was the guy, like one of those guys. It was just a few guys that I was always, obviously Simon Anderson, because I felt like I had a very kind of a similar surfing style, and the thruster and all that stuff. He said, always watch Simon, always watch Winton. And of course, MR and Shane, because you never knew what Shane was going to do, because he's just like a pocket surfer. He's riding kind of slow boards and surfing in the pocket. You know, and MR was the opposite, way out in front. And then Kern came and showed everyone what style was, but he's also kind of responsible for kind of making boards kind of generic, because everyone copied. And that's when everyone started riding the same equipment. What's Kern riding? 3-fin, round rail.
Yeah.
That was like, that was it. And then that was the beginning of that.
Cool.
And then, but at least they were functional. They were wider, thicker, flatter. But then Slater came along and ruined everyone surfing with paper thin boards.
Yeah. I know that is kind of wild how the glass slipper, as they call that, those boards came out and just kind of probably Slater could get away with it because he was just, you know, at that level, but just everyone else, you know, probably just hindered their surfing trying to figure out all that crap.
Oh my God, it was so bad. I remember Todd Prestige. He was up in that group, Slater and all that, and he was riding for Burn Surfboards when I was there. And he came back and he's like telling Phil, and he was a really nice guy, Todd. And he's like, but he was kind of whatever Slater was doing, he was going to do, just like the Malloys and everybody, the whole group. And I remember him telling like Phil going, I need like, I don't know, 2 3/4 tail rocker and 6 inches of nose rocker in like 5'10". And it was impossible. There wasn't blanks for it.
Wow.
So like, because he was going trying to go further than Slater. Slater was close to those numbers.
Yeah.
And the 17 and a half, 2 1/8.
Yeah.
You know, the guy was like taller than me.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay. And Phil, like, they made it work for a while, but like, man, those things were hard to ride, you know? I mean, I had a bunch of boards, not quite as extreme like that, but I was like, think if you were just starting out
Oh God.
and got stuck on those, you'd quit.
Yeah.
You'd be like, no.
Sure, a lot of people did.
And can't get around sections, you know? It was like super deep concaves, but.
And what other things like about shaping kind of keep you like inspired. Are you ever looking into like, I know that this is a hot topic conversation point is like materials. I mean, for my surfing, I favor heavily like the poly boards, you know, and I don't mess around with extra fins. I just keep it thruster. But like, what about different materials? Is that something that you look into, or are you just kind
Definitely.
of okay?
I got a speech for you.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, as far as what's exciting for me is that like right now, half the boards I'm making are twin fins, and they're nothing like the twin fins at MR Road. You know, so I find that exciting. Like as far as materials, I'm like you because we both live where there's pretty good waves.
Right.
You look at the world tour, no one's riding anything but polys except for one or two guys that get paid a lot of money to ride something else.
Right.
Epoxy boards I just dropped one off for Mark Taylor here today.
Yep.
But he's a great surfer, older guy. It's one of my killer quad models. It's like 21, a lot of liters, right? EPS epoxy. Everyone else goes, oh, I got an epoxy. It's too floaty, but the float has nothing to do with the epoxy is resin. EPS is foam.
Right.
Different blank.
Sure.
EPS foam is full of air, very low quality structurally wise, very floaty.
Yeah.
Epoxy is resin. The resin's probably better because it has a longer flex life because epoxy takes a lot longer to cure and it has more of a rubbery before like polyester boards, how you ride them for a long time, they die.
Yeah.
That's because slowly all that, it's cracked. You can't see it, but the fiberglass is broken down. So it doesn't have any twang or flex left.
Right.
EPS or epoxy resin holds that for a lot longer. But it's always on EPS foam. So unless you live somewhere that's knee high all the time or has no wind, epoxy's great. The EPS epoxy. I call it CEPX because I make a stringerless EPS foam with a 30, this is what I found the best for me, a 30 millimeter single direction carbon tape that I put on top and bottom. Because carbon is not a flexible thing. You see those boards that are 100% carbon, they look badass. They don't flex. Like you guys see them surfing them at Fells and they're just every little chop. There's no wow, you know? So with the tape, it just takes away, it like dampens them, keeps them from chattering.
Okay.
So you don't get to like go over the handlebars because it flexes at a weird time. So, and they're still light and they're great for small surf. I mean, guys can ride them in better waves, but even like in Hawaii and like I was living on the South Shore, long paddle, right? You get out there, there's no wind block. So even if it's a perfect wind, there's wind. They chatter, you hear the chatter and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like I have one in my car and I probably use it one every 15 surfs. Like the feel of a poly, I mean, I'm hoping that there's something that's going to come better. But I see all these like Thailand-made giant companies run by world champions that are like, oh, rides just like a poly. Why make something that you know it doesn't? And why spend all your time trying to make it ride like the current state of the art? Like, why wouldn't you try to make it ride better?
Right.
That's like spending your whole life trying to copy a Ford. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you try to make something better?
Yeah.
A different Maserati or something like that. You know, so it's a weird one. EPS, and they say the epoxy boards are better for the environment. They're better when you're glassing them because there's almost no vapes. Like there's no, I'm not sure there's a
Emission.
VOQs.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what it stands for, but it's like the bad smells. But then when the guy goes to sand it, it blows all that up. So instead of the laminator, now the sander is getting all the bad smell.
Yeah.
So all it does is transfer it. You know.
What about that? Like, you know,
The most ecological surfboard is one that's probably made near you.
Okay. And do you ever have any concerns about your health from, you know, being around all these materials for so long? Like, is there any like telltale symptoms that you can tell? You know? I've laminated 25 boards, so I'm not a glasser. I think I'd be much more worried if I was a glasser. Yeah.
Especially the area that I grew up with, like with guys just cigarette, resin, no mask.
Yeah.
That being said, I mean, I remember being in Argentina back around 2000 and hand shaping tons of boards and using the same mask for like 3 days. Paper mask for 3 days.
Yeah.
So that's not good. But for the last probably 10 years, I've always used a proper respirator, but just a lightweight one, a dust one, not nothing heavy.
Okay.
But you know, those purple ones, they're like really light, but they do a great job.
Yeah.
I don't feel anything. The doctors haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
I think probably all the beer was worse.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel for the sanders and the glassers, like.
Totally.
But I think most everyone knows now, though. So, and they're taking the precautions.
Yeah.
When I see someone with a paper mask now shaping, I'm like, that's rare.
Yeah.
Where it used to be everyone.
Right.
No.
No mask. Yeah.
Or even like that's corny pictures where you see guys in the magazine pulling a rail and you're no mask. You're like, dude, you're not that pretty. Just put on a freaking mask. And
Yeah.
it's like they don't want to wear a mask in the photo. It's like,
Totally.
let's get real.
And so like current day shapers, what guys do you look up to? Are you impressed regularly by their shapes?
That's kind of a funny one because there's the shapers that I respect for their craftsmanship, and then there's surfboard brands that seem to have really good surfboards. Like right now, like for example, JS. A lot of their boards are made in Thailand. A lot of the, I'm not sure about even who's shaping them, you know what I mean? But they have a nice range of boards. Like they have boards that work for sure, like really nice curves.
Yeah.
Like if I was a pro surfer and I had to be on a NASCAR team, I'd want to be on that team.
Okay.
They look better to me than the Merricks or the whatevers, you know what I mean? But that, whoever's doing their files.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they just look nice. And they have a pretty deep range too. They're not like pigeonholed in 510s, When I shaped there, it was all 510 squash tails.
Okay.
Now they have like a pretty wide range, So they look nice. God, I mean, I respect Kalu Kaleta for what he does. I mean, it's rad to shape a good board and build a glass and sand it. Those guys are rare. That's pretty rad. God, I'm trying to think who else. There's a good group of younger guys coming up. There's a guy in WA, Vaughn, makes Vaughn surfboards. He's pretty good. I know it's hard though, because so many, what happens with a lot of the talented younger guys, they get swallowed into doing someone else's boards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're like, okay, I can have a full-time job and da-da-da-da. It happens a lot because you have such international brands, You got to have someone as a point of contact. Let's just say you're the master shaper for some giant brand. You got to have a good shaper in 7 or 8 locations now.
Right.
That can understand what you're saying when you're saying, hey, you're doing it like this. We need it done like that. But I don't know, every shaper's got their niche,
Yeah. And what do you think is like the benefit about getting a custom surfboard from like a master shaper?
Nice point. First of all, everyone's different. Like I've been making a few boards for like ladies in Australia and stuff, and they got it the worst because they walk into a surf shop and everyone wants to stick them on a 610 DHD squash tail McFanning model. And they got a completely, like, their power's different, everything's different. Their power base is different. It's all their core. Everything's different. Same thing with guys, and like to go in and it seems crazy to me if you've been surfing for more than 2 or 3 years to even get a rack board.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like you and I, both been surfing a long time. We surf totally different, back foot, front foot, whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot to that, like if it just because someone's your favorite surfer doesn't mean you surf like them.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're going to be able to do your best surfing on that.
Yeah.
Like I was speaking with Sean Burns today and we're like, he asked me, what do you think of him? Do you think I'm a front foot surfer or a back foot surfer? Because I watch a lot of videos of the guy because I know he's a great surfer and I want to make boards that work good for him.
Yeah.
And he's pretty backloaded, but he's more even than a lot of guys. Like I used to make boards for a guy named Shane Powell in Australia. He's like 2 in the world. Like I had this on his front arm and his front foot, and his back leg was like, he was all back leg. His front leg really, I used to call him the kangaroo because his front foot was like the arms, thing, but he could kick your butt with his back legs.
Yeah.
So I had to adjust his rockers so he could get, he could jam but still have some down the line speed because he would be moving up too much to try to get speed because he was using all his back leg.
Yeah.
So you just have to balance the rockers different and shift the concave back so it's under his back foot. Like myself, I'm an even-footed surfer, so it works out good for being a shaper, being even-footed, because you have a balance point, and then you can adjust for guys that are different. Like Bud's kind of front-footed, so he has a more relaxed tail rocker, and because you don't want things to overreact, And like when I put too much tail rocker in my own boards, I see that I don't use traction pads because I want to see where the dents are. That seems weird, but I want to see where I ride a board for a couple of weeks and I want to see exactly where the dents are and where they progress if I move back on the board or whatever. Like if you bought a board, you wouldn't want that. You would put a pad on so it doesn't. But I'm using that as, I'm okay, so I can't ride a board with that much tail rocker because I'll see my feet come up by the front fins or whatever.
Yeah.
So I adjust things that way.
Well, that reminds me, you briefly got into shaping or creating traction pads and stuff like that.
Yep.
How was that whole experience? You were working with Mark Machado?
Yeah, that is fun, but I'm kind of over traction pads myself.
I don't use them anymore.
Isn't that weird? It's kind
Yeah.
of like I'm over them, and like it can screw up a board or make a board better because some people have, like I have a really high arch, so I was making big arches. But then for me, it was more psychological. If my foot wasn't in the right place in the pad, all of a sudden I'm thinking, where's my foot? Where's my foot? And then the wave's over.
Yeah.
Instead of just riding the wave.
Right. You also get your foot like locked in there sometimes.
It does work great if
Yeah.
you're a really back-footed person who likes it to stick your foot over the very back fin.
Yeah.
They're great, and they make your board last longer.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
sure. But it's kind of a wasteful, not in, when you make a perfect pad, that's all great. But so many pads end up in the tip or in the, what we call it, tip here?
Trash.
The dump, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just hate seeing so much wasted stuff.
Yeah. But it was a fun time working on that.
It was. The fins are the funnest part, though.
Right.
I'm doing some fins right now.
Cool.
Yeah, just with my little son on them, just to go with certain designs of my boards.
Okay. Wild.
Yeah.
And how do you get that? Do you order it through a company who makes?
Yeah. I design them on my CAD on the same design I used to design surfboards.
Oh, cool.
Foils and everything, and then I send them to a manufacturing base.
Oh, that's
the
pretty
same
wicked.
one that does most of the big companies.
Okay.
And then 30 days later, they'll show up. I have a batch showing up in a couple of days. Because that's like, for example, those 6 channels I was talking about, you have to have small fins.
Yeah.
So I designed a pretty small, like about the size of a G3 old FCS, about that size. But I wanted those in the honeycomb so they're super light because you already have a lot of resin back there. You know what I mean? And whereas if a board's like on my twin fins, I only like pure glass ones.
Yeah.
Because you can get it. Plus, you can design anything. You don't have to make a mold. I could send them that as a file, and they would make that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like I could make a fin that looked like your microphone or whatever.
Sick.
But but it gives you a lot more. Like I sample stuff all the time.
Okay.
But I like the way that feels better. But they are considerably heavier. Like one like full size twin fin weighs as much as 3 honeycomb thrusters. Like a set of thrusters.
Why?
So and I don't like when I feel a board neck. It's tail heavy.
And what about like glass on fins? Is that something you ever do anymore? Because I've gotten a couple like really sick boards with glass on fins.
Don't say those 2 words.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, they're a nightmare.
They are.
Travel, glassing.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of work for the sander. And if because they're rovings that they put down and all that, it's so much work to get those to foil out. So much work. And when you think about it, a fin into a board without any roving is way less drag. Because we have to build up what we call rovings, fills the gap.
Yeah.
And that keeps them on. It's like fiberglass hair.
Right.
We wet out and then they sand it out and they still patch it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not really hoping for a comeback of that.
And how about FCS versus Future? What's your line of thought there?
Futures all the way.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, but that brings me to another thing that you tapped on before. You were talking about multiple fins. And Futures to me are the best by far.
Yeah.
Especially if you live somewhere where there's kelp.
Right.
Because the whole fin is in the box. And you won't, unless it's really rare, you don't get kelp underneath in FCS, you get it all over the place.
Right.
FCS too, there's only that much of the fin is in the box. The rest is sticking out on both ends.
Yeah.
So to me, that's crazy. But like in the 6 channels, you have to use FCS plugs because you can't have a big long thing in there because of the bottom's so radical.
Okay.
But like for example, if you say you order, a lot of guys go, I want a 5 fin. I want to ride it as a thruster and a quad. And that seems like a great idea, except for when you do a thruster setup, the 2 side fins are pointed at 2.5 inches off the nose, right? And the back one's straight. When you do a quad, if you did that like that, and because you can't have too much turbulence, you'd have to make them like this, but then that's going.
I was always wondering about
so
that.
What you have to do is you have to water down your thruster.
Oh.
So like where normally you would have had them like that, they have to be like this so they can still work with the quad.
Right.
So it's not a perfect thruster.
Yeah.
And it's not a perfect quad.
And having that the gap for when the fin's out of the board, like if you had like 5 fin setup.
And you're riding it as a thruster.
Yeah. Is that such super negligible, that little amount of water displacement where the fin would have gone?
There's got to be something there.
It's got to be something.
But the bigger worry to me is that now you have two pieces of plastic that are about 5.5 inches long, that are rigid, where your board flexes the most in the tail, and they're in a bed of resin.
Right.
So you've got resin weighs, you know. So now you have these two stiff rods, essentially, even if they didn't have the gap, in the point of the board where it needs to flex the most.
Right. Okay. So
To me,
you just advise against that. If you're going to get a forefin, just
I advise.
forefin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I advise against it.
Yeah.
If the guys order it and they want it, I'll make it.
Yeah.
But I always tell them, I go, you know, if you like thrusters, if you think you're going to ride this as a thruster most of the time, get a thruster. If you're going to ride it as a quad, quads are great. Get a quad. But all that extra resin, the stiffness, as well as the main thing to me is just the watering down of the fin angle. No one really ever talks about that because it's like, it's like a bell and a whistle.
Yeah.
But it's actually, it's never going to be the best thruster. It's never going to be the best quad.
And could you actually like surf a board with all 5 fins in the board? Like
I've seen people do it. Yeah.
Slater does shit like that every once in a while, huh?
I think it's just yeah, who knows?
Gimmick or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything's got to be tried.
Yeah.
You got to rule stuff out.
And do you ever see like things where people coming to you asking for weird shit like on their boards these days? Or you'd think that you'd seen it all at this point, but does that ever come up, you know?
No, I think generally my clientele is either guys that surf pretty good over 30 or guys over 40 and their kids.
Yeah,
like
right.
My son's 10, he rips.
Yeah.
So I make a lot of little boards, and I make a lot of boards for guys that have surfed for quite a while. So in general, the guys that have surfed for quite a while have a pretty good idea what they want.
Yeah.
And if I'm seeing them in person or even on a WhatsApp or not a Skype call, but like a
Zoom call.
Yeah. I'll get them to show me what they ride.
Okay.
And I'll go, what do you like about it and don't like this? What board do you ride most of the time? This board. What do you like about it and what do you not like about it?
Yeah.
And then I look at it, and then I formulate a plan in my head.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like I make the decision for them, and hopefully it's right. Most of the time it works.
Yeah.
Because we're not like going from like a 70 single fin to, but a lot of guys are open-minded too, because they've been stuck on thrusters for so long. I mean, not stuck. Thrusters are great. But like now, like I was saying, half of my business is twin fins, and they're not just one type. There's guys riding like a wave racer twin fin, which is like looks like a retro board, but it's still got curve in the tail. It's not straight in the back. And then there's all kinds of stuff. There's a famous Australian older surfer shaper named Jim Banks.
Yeah.
And he was like legend barrel rider back in the day. He lives in Bali and kind of gurus out, and he's always going. I follow him, so he's going on and on about this bottom that he does. I think he calls it Revolution or something like that. So I checked one out, and it's really it's hard to do, but it's a V with double concave in the V.
Okay.
So not like normally you have a double inside of a single concave for a performance board. This is like a full V, panel V, and then he concaves it. So they look weird. It's like it has a spine.
Oh, wow.
And it sits deeper in the water, and you're riding one of the concaves all the time.
Yeah.
Theory sounds great. I just made myself a wave racer twin, which I've made 1 million of them, and I've rode a lot of them, so I know exactly how it works with that bottom. So I haven't ridden it yet. It's waiting for me at home.
I think it's cool, like with the twin fin thing. I think sometimes it just takes like a few really good surfers who grab the other equipment to show what its potential is. I'm thinking like Josh Kerr, Asher Pacey, I think, and some of those other like alternative guys grabbing.
I thought Josh I was wondering how they were going to score him.
Because yeah.
I was a judge for years.
For sure.
But the criteria is this.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much 3 fins. And he got through some heats.
Yeah.
I think he was just doing it because his daughter is on the tour or whatever.
Right.
Tour. So he was going with her because he's set for life. So
sure, go surf Neos,
and in a heat,
3 other dudes. Yeah.
So, but his surfing, was pretty amazing. He's older now, a bit older, but I think if he was trying to surf to the criteria, he could on those boards.
Yeah.
Would he ever get a 10? They have to give it to him if it's a 10, right? But there would definitely be a head judge looking over their shoulder going, he's on a twin fin, he's on a twin fin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure like if he just got like the most nuts barrel, that guy could ride a freaking a bar of soap and get a 10 on that. But
I mean, there's like you said, was it Asher Pacey?
I think Asher Pacey's one of the guys I've seen riding.
Nuts.
Oh yeah.
Like I watched that guy. Like his surfing is nuts. Like that's beautiful surfing on boards like 5'4". The guy's like 6'2". Like,
yeah,
it's crazy, So I mean, there's definitely And I mean, he rides the album boards, I think they are. Mm-hmm. And so they've done a ton of R&D.
Yeah.
So they're definitely, no one's riding them on tour. So you could say, oh, well, they're not world champion boards, but he definitely does some surfing. I would rather watch than number 32 on the tour.
Yeah, and what does a twin fin open up for your surfing, would you say? Speed?
The reason I ride them is just because they go so fast.
Yeah.
And you get going faster. Mm-hmm. But if in your mind you still think, like, everyone has their own view of what good surfing is. Mm-hmm. And if your mind is that like square bottom turn fin chuck, that's not the board for you.
Yeah.
They're all about going fast, making sections, and getting creative, because they're hard to handle a whole turn because you have to fin. So you have to get creative.
Yeah.
You change your technique.
It's a little bit more rounder surfing.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
But sometimes you go, geez, you could have caned that lip, and he didn't,
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I wish I could just erase it from my memory, but from all the years of judging, I just have like a criteria in my head, and I just want it to go away.
Yeah.
Even for myself, when I'm riding a wave, I go, don't just clean it. Start over right now,
It's so hard to because I mean, as a surfer, if you've been doing it for years and at a high level, you know what feels good. There's like a feeling, like if you could bottle that, you could sell it priceless. But it's like once you get into a situation where you're like, oh, like I rode a mid-length the other day, like a 6'8", and this thing's huge and it's so thick, and the waves were like knee high, but then I got a shoulder high wave, and I drove off the bottom. I just wanted to tear the lip off of it, and it was just so hard to surf. I felt like
they feel kind of dead,
and I felt like such a kook. I was just like, I know what feels good, and it'd be nice if there was like a little remote control surfboard where you could twin fin section, hit that thing, and I mean, but yeah, that's pretty advanced there. And then what other type of shaping things are exciting you right now? Are you working with any guys in like the community that you've kind of moved into, the Noosa era?
I've only been there a couple of months.
Right. Is that something you'd like to do?
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's a very diverse cross section of surfers up there, because we have like perfect longboard points. I'm not a longboard guy, but they're perfect longboard points.
Yeah.
And there's great longboard shapers up there. So it's kind of like, that's yours,
Yeah.
But they're also really good twin fin waves.
Okay.
Those longboard waves are also good twin fin waves.
Yeah.
And then we do have punchy beach breaks and stuff like that. But I spent so much time in Lennox. That's where I make a lot of custom boards for guys down there. Mm-hmm. And Lennox, Ballina, it's punchy, strong, good waves and stuff like that. And it's all short boards down there. Mm-hmm. But what I have been doing, one guy I work with, Jimmy, down there, he's like a hardcore 40-year-old surf traveler, rips, surfs dawn every morning, like just so. And he's been pushing me to make my 4-channel twin pins. They're just short channels. We've been dialing them in, and he's getting very barreled and hitting the lip very vertical on them. So it's kind of cool to see, it's almost thruster style surfing, except for he's going faster.
Cool.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I feel that, going back to Josh Curran, that there is, if people developed what I'm doing with my twin fins, I'm sure there's other guys doing the same thing. You could work your way into it, and there's no reason guys couldn't go out and win QS heats or CT heats on that type of board.
Yeah, you just have to alter the board to.
But now we're back to that thing, trying to make it ride like something else.
Yeah,
we're talking about epoxies, trying to make them ride like PE.
Right.
Now I'm trying to make but you don't have the back fin. They're definitely faster off the mark.
Okay.
One little and you're already at speed. Mm-hmm. You're not like, and now boom, like on a thruster. A twin fin, it's almost like one ankle turn, and wow, you're gone, So
I think maybe I have to get one of those ordered up for my near future here.
Yeah, they're definitely, I mean, where you live, I mean, not your main peak that you surf, but other peaks around here would be great for it.
Totally.
Like that, your main peak, I don't think it's a twin fin wave, but like down the beach, 2 spots down the beach would fly.
For sure.
But then you have big fins and you got kelp.
Yeah. Nothing's ever perfect.
You might be going over the handlebars.
Yeah.
Definitely high tide.
I'm good at doing that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's my trademark. Yeah. Well, Scott, this has been really fun chatting, and I'm sure we could get into all kinds of different topics and stuff. I know that you're kind of going on your way. You're headed up to Half Moon Bay tonight?
Yeah. I got a couple more boards to deliver. Same with the in-laws up there. And then tomorrow I'm flying out to Portland. I'll be back at Noosa on Sunday.
Okay. Well,
Sunday to Sunday, 1 week, big trip.
yeah. Just briefly, like, how do you get pretty taxed after these trips?
I think I get more text this way because Australia's a day ahead, but like 5 or 6 hours behind. Mm-hmm. So I don't know because I get in late here, and I always take some sleep aids and sleep on those long flights.
Yeah.
So I've already slept a bunch. I come here for 3 hours and I sleep a bunch.
Yeah.
But I was fresh this morning, so
Cool.
I'll be fine. Yeah, and I'm
Sweet.
fortunate. I don't. If I'm tired, I can take a day off. Mm-hmm. No one's gonna whip me.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, there's not much waves today, but one of these times we'll have to go for a surf and have a cold one after and talk more story. And yeah, I just want to thank you for your years of friendship and, being a nice guy. You and Tia welcome me in Australia, and it's always a pleasure to chat with you. And we'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Sounds awesome. I'm cut through every probably 6 weeks, so I'll be stoked to stop in and we'll see how, because I think I'm going to do one of those 20s for Sean. We'll see how he goes on it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because he's a full thruster guy.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to watch to see how that goes.
Oh, I could see him really getting some arcing turns,
Yeah.
big old swoops on a 20. Sick.
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. This has been the Split Peak Soup podcast. I'm your host, Neil Carney. We're part of the Santa Cruz Vibes podcast network. So be sure to look at and listen to all the other talented individuals we have doing that. And the new magazine came out, the winter issue of the Santa Cruz Vibes. So pick that up at a shop near you. And until next time, this has been the Split Peak Soup podcast.